Space was quiet, but it was not empty. Far from the bright paths of trade and travel, there was a region of dark stars where no maps agreed. Ships avoided it not because of storms or monsters, but because of silence. Signals bent there. Light behaved strangely. It was the perfect place to meet when no one wanted to be seen. A ring of massive structures floated around a dying blue star. Each structure was different in shape and design, built by minds that had never shared a sky. Some were smooth and curved, grown rather than built. Others were sharp and heavy, made from dark metal and layered armor. Slow lights moved across their surfaces like breathing skin. This was not a normal council. It had no official name that could be found in records. Those who knew of it used a quiet title and never spoke it near listening machines. It was a gathering only for those born on Deathworlds. Deathworlds were planets that tried to kill their children. Extreme heat, crushing gravity, violent weather, toxic air, fierce predators, or constant disaster shaped the species that survived there. Most intelligent life did not come from such places. Most life grew on gentle worlds, where survival was not a daily battle, but those who lived through Deathworlds. It became something else. The council chamber existed in shared space. Each species saw it in a way their minds could accept. To some, it was a wide stone hall. To others, a field of floating symbols. Voices translated automatically, stripped of tone and emotion to avoid conflict, one by one. The representatives took their places. A tall figure with long limbs and pale skin folded itself into a seat of light. Its species came from a world of endless ice storms. Another delegate arrived surrounded by a soft gravity well, their body dense and slow, evolved under crushing pressure. Others followed, some alone, some as shared minds. One seat remained empty for a long moment. When it finally filled, the chamber grew quieter. The newcomer was small by comparison. It had a compact frame, 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head with forward-facing eyes. It wore no armor, only a simple, dark uniform. Its posture was calm, but not weak. The human representative did not speak. Around the chamber, attention shifted. Data moved between delegates. Old records opened. New models ran. Humanity was late to the stars, but not unnoticed. The meeting began without ceremony. A projection formed in the center of the chamber. It showed a yellow star, 8 planets, and many artificial structures moving between them. A simple system, a noisy one. Subject under review. Humanity, eh? The neutral voice announced. The human representative remained still. Another projection appeared. This one showed Earth. Blue oceans. Green land. White clouds. Then the image changed. Storms, earthquakes, volcanoes, wars, cities burning, machines clashing. The timeline moved fast. Deathworld classification confirmed. The voice continued. Multiple extinctional level events survived. High internal conflict rate. Rapid technological growth. One delegate leaned forward. They fight themselves more than any external threat. Another responded, yet they endure. That is not weakness. Data streams showed human history in fragments. Plagues followed by recovery. Empires rising and falling. Weapons growing stronger. Cooperation growing slower, then faster. They are unstable, a third delegate said. Their emotions drive their decisions. Yes, replied another. And those emotions drive innovation. The human delegate finally spoke. We adapt, the human said simply. The chamber processed the statement. No threat, no pride, just fact. The projection shifted again. It now showed human expansion beyond their home system. Mining stations, research outposts, small colonies on harsh moons and red worlds. They spread quickly, someone noted. Too quickly. They do not wait for permission, said another. They never do, came a quiet reply. Far away from the secret meeting. In a human listening station hidden behind a drifting field of broken ice, Jay stared at his screen. He was not meant to see anything unusual today. The background noise of space was supposed to remain boring. It did not. A A pattern flickered across his display. Weak, almost lost in static. But it repeated. Jay leaned closer. He adjusted the filters. The signal was not random. It was layered, intentional. "Hey," he said, keeping his voice low. "Hannah, can you look at this?" Hannah rolled her chair over. She was older than Jay, with more time spent listening to the quiet places between stars. She frowned as the signal resolved. "This isn't human," she said. "No," Jay replied. "And it's not anyone we know." They watched as fragments of encoded data drifted past. Too broken to translate. Too complex to ignore. "It feels like someone whispering behind a wall," Hannah said. Back in the council chamber, the debate continued. "Humanity has not been invited to this council," one delegate stated. "There is a reason." "They do not yet understand the balance," said another. "They will upset it," third added. The human representative stood. "If you fear change," the human said, "then you fear life." The chamber reacted. Emotional markers spiked. "You speak boldly for a species under review," came the reply. The human nodded once. "We speak as we are." Silence followed. The projection shifted again. This time it showed probability models. Lines branching into futures. Some ended in peace. Many ended in conflict. A few ended in silence. In multiple projections, the neutral voice said, "Humanity becomes a destabilizing force." And in others, the human replied, "We become a stabilizing one." "Too many risks," said a delegate from a world of endless storms. "Too much unpredictability." A new motion passed through the chamber. Private channels opened. Votes were prepared. The human representative looked around. "Understanding more than was being said, you are judging us without speaking to us," the human said. "You are being spoken about," came the reply. That answer said everything. At the listening station, alarms stayed silent, but Jay felt a tightness in his chest. The signal had shifted again. It was stronger now. "Closer, Hannah," he said. "Something is moving out there." She nodded slowly. "Log everything." Quietly. On Earth, far below the stars, people lived their normal lives. Cities glowed at night. Planes crossed skies. Children slept. None of them knew that a decision was forming far away in the council chamber. The vote completed. Resolution accepted. The neutral voice announced. Observation status elevated. Containment protocols authorized. The words were cold. Clean. Final. The human representative did not shout. Did not threaten. "Then you have already chosen conflict," the human said. "No," replied the chamber. "We have chosen caution." The human's eyes hardened. "There is a difference between caution and fear," the human said. "You will learn it." With that, the human representative disconnected. The seed of light faded. For a moment, the chamber was still. "Was that wise?" one delegate asked. "We cannot allow them to grow unchecked," another answered. "They survived a death world," said a third. "They may not respond as you expect." "Then we will respond first," came the reply. In the listening station, the signal vanished. Jay exhaled. "It's gone." Hannah saved the final data packet. Her expression was serious. "Someone out there just noticed us," she said. Jay looked at the quiet stars beyond the screen. They did not look different. They never did. But something had changed. Far away, silent machines began to move. And humanity, without knowing why, was no longer alone in the dark. The stars did not answer questions, but humanity asked them anyway. After the strange signal vanished, the quiet felt heavier than before. At the listening station, Jay replayed the data again and again. Every time, the same feeling returned. Someone had been watching, measuring, and deciding. Hannah sent a sealed report to Earth Command using deep space encryption. She did not include guesses or fear, only facts. Unknown signal. Non-human structure. Direction unclear. Behavior intentional. On Earth. The report reached people who rarely slept, in a quiet room filled with soft lights and long tables. Myra stood beside a large display. She was a systems analyst, trained to find meaning in broken patterns. The signal fragments floated before her like pieces of a shattered mirror. "This isn't noise," she said. "It's layered communication." Around her, others watched closely. Day, a physicist with tired eyes, crossed his arms. "But it's incomplete," he said. "We don't even know what medium they're using." "That may be the point," Mira replied. "They didn't want us to understand. Just to know they were there." Silence followed. No one liked that idea. Across the planet, smaller meetings formed. Military leaders, scientists, and diplomats shared the same data. The conclusion was never spoken out loud. But it settled in every room. Humanity was not alone, and it might not be welcome. Far from Earth. In the hidden region of space, the Secret Council moved into its next phase. Observation structures shifted position, aligning toward human space. Silent probes detached from larger vessels, slipping into faster paths. They were not weapons, not yet. They were eyes. In the shared chamber, discussion continued. "The human has withdrawn," one delegate noted. "They always do that," another replied. "They observe before reacting, or they prepare," a third said. Probability models updated. New data fed into ancient simulations. Human expansion rates were adjusted upward. Adaptation curves steepened. "This species compresses development under pressure," the neutral voice stated. "Containment windows are narrowing." "Then act while there is time," said a delegate whose world had been broken long ago by another rising power. The decision did not require another vote. A probe crossed the boundary of human-controlled space. It entered quietly, riding radiation and shadow. Its surface bent light, its emissions masked as background noise. It drifted past outer listening posts and automated defenses, recording everything. It watched ships move. It watched data flow. It watched how humans reacted to unknown gaps. It learned on a distant human colony world called Redfield. Life was hard but hopeful. The planet had thin air, red dust storms, and sharp temperature shifts. People lived under domes and carved shelters into rock. Children played inside gravity-adjusted halls. Families believed they were building something lasting. They did not see the probe overhead. The probe released smaller units into the upper atmosphere. They mapped weather patterns, energy grids, and orbital traffic. One unit drifted too close to a human satellite. The satellite noticed an alert flash through Redfield's local network. At first, it was marked as a minor anomaly. Then the data didn't match anything known. Sora leaned forward in her chair. She was on shift at the colony's traffic control center, monitoring orbital lanes. "That object isn't ours," she said. Her supervisor frowned. "Could be debris?" "It's adjusting course," Sora replied. "Debris doesn't do that." They watched as the object shifted, reacting to scans. It moved smoothly, without visible thrust. "Send the data to Earth," the supervisor said. The probe changed behavior immediately. It retreated, accelerating away from the satellite and toward the planet's dark side. Human sensors struggled to track it. On Earth, alarms lit up. Myra received the new data within minutes. She compared it to Jay's original signal fragments. The pattern was clear now. "It's the same source," she said. Day stared at the projected object path. "They're inside our space." "Yes," Mira replied, "and they're testing us." Human response was cautious but firm. Tracking systems were upgraded. Patrol ships were quietly repositioned. No announcements were made to the public, not yet in the Secret Council. The probe's data streamed back. "Reaction time exceeds expectations," the neutral voice reported. "Detection efficiency improving. They learn quickly," one delegate said. "Too quickly," another replied. A proposal moved through private channels. Limited disruption. Controlled pressure. Enough to slow human growth without open conflict. The council agreed. The next probe carried different payload. It arrived near Redfield weeks later, hidden inside a cloud of charged particles. It released a pulse toward the planet's orbital infrastructure. Human systems flickered. Power grids stuttered. Communication lag increased. Navigation satellites lost sync. on red field. Emergency lights came on across the domes. Sor felt the floor vibrate as backup systems engaged. What happened? Someone shouted, "Solar interference." Another guessed, but the data did not fit. On Earth, analysts worked without rest. Mira's voice was steady, but her hands shook slightly. "This wasn't random," she said. "It was targeted." Day nodded slowly. "They're pushing us. Want to see how we respond," Mira added. Human engineers stabilized the colony within hours. Systems were rerouted. Software was patched. The damage was limited. The probe recorded everything. It saw humans cooperate across distance and command layers. It saw improvisation under stress. It saw anger held back by discipline. It transmitted its findings in the council chamber. The mood shifted. "They recover faster each time," a delegate said. "Then increase pressure," another insisted. "Not yet," came a calmer voice. "One more test." The next action was not subtle. A mining platform on the edge of human space lost control. Its orbit decayed rapidly, pulling it toward the gravity well of a nearby gas giant. Automated systems failed one by one. From Earth, it looked like a tragic accident. Inside the platform, alarms screamed. Workers scrambled to escape pods. Some made it. Some did not, the probe observed from a safe distance. Human rescue ships arrived faster than predicted. Crews risked their own lives to pull survivors free. Broadcasts filled with grief, anger, questions. Public awareness could no longer be contained. Governments released partial statements. Unknown interference. Investigation ongoing. People looked to the sky with new eyes. At the listening station, Jay watched long-range sensors light up. Patterns he had never seen before crossed his screens. "Hannah," he said quietly, "they're not hiding anymore." She nodded. "Neither can we." On Earth, emergency councils merged. Old rivalries were pushed aside not because they were solved, but because they felt small. Myra addressed a room filled with global leaders. "We are being tested," she said, "and each test will grow harsher." "Why?" Someone asked. "Because someone out there is afraid of what we become if left alone," she replied. Silence followed. Day spoke next. "If they wanted us gone already, we wouldn't be here." "This means they're still deciding. That means we still have time," someone said. "Yes," Myra agreed, "but not much." Far away, in the secret chamber, the council reviewed the latest projections. Increased human unity detected, the neutral voice said. Risk of escalation rising. One delegate shifted uneasily. "We are shaping them. We are controlling them," another corrected. "Are we?" A third asked. The question hung in the chamber, on red field. Memorial lights floated above the domes for those lost on the mining platform. Families gathered in silence. Children asked why the stars were angry. No one had a good answer. Humanity had not declared war. It had not fired a single shot, but it had learned something important. Someone out there was willing to hurt them from the shadows. And humans had never responded well to that. As the secret council prepared its next move, it failed to fully understand one thing. Pressure did not break humanity. It focused it. The idea of safety faded slowly, not all at once. After the mining platform disaster, people still hoped for accidents and mistakes. Humanity wanted reasons that did not include enemies hiding in the dark. But hope weakened as patterns grew clearer. Across human space, small failures began to appear. Navigation errors that should not happen. Communication delays with no clear cause. Machines behaving as if they were being gently pushed the wrong way. Each event alone was easy to explain. Together, they formed a shape. On Earth, Mira stood in front of a growing wall of data. Lines connected incidents across months and distance. The pattern was no longer subtle. "They are inside our systems," she said. Day nodded. "Not directly. They're nudging things." "Changing conditions, like tipping the first stone," Mira replied. Military and civilian leaders listened in silence. The room felt smaller than it was. "So this is an attack," one leader said. "It is pressure," Mira answered. Carefully measured? Why not strike openly? Another asked, Day answered. Because they want control, not chaos. They are trying to shape us. That word stayed in the air, shape. Far away, the Secret Council reviewed new reports. Probes had mapped human response systems in detail now. Predictive models updated again. Human coordination increasing, the neutral voice said. Political divisions decreasing under stress. That was not the goal, one delegate said sharply. No, another replied. But it was expected. A third delegate, older and slower to speak, observed quietly. Deathworld species unify under threat. We should have known. We still control the level of threat, came the answer. A new proposal formed. A stronger push. The target would not be infrastructure this time. It would be people. On Red Field, life returned to routine with effort. The memorial lights faded, but the memory did not. Sora returned to work with sharper focus. Every unknown blip made her heart beat faster. She was not alone. Across the colony, watchfulness became habit. People listened more closely to machines. Parents checked seals twice. Pilots trusted instincts more than screens. They did not know why. The probe arrived hidden. Inside a wave of charged dust from the local star. It slipped through orbital space and released its payload. Deep within the planet's atmosphere, this payload was different. It was not meant to observe. It was meant to disrupt. The first sign was weather. Redfield's atmosphere was thin but stable. Storms were rare and predictable. That changed overnight. Winds shifted without warning. Pressure dropped sharply in one region, then spiked in another. Inside the domes, alarms sounded. Environmental systems struggled to compensate. Backup power activated, grabbed her console as gravity fluctuated slightly. This isn't normal, she said. No, her supervisor replied. It's like the planet forgot its own rules. On Earth, Mira's console lit up with alerts from Redfield. This is artificial, she said immediately. They're interfering with atmospheric balance. Day's jaw tightened. They're testing population stress. Within hours, a dust storm, unlike any recorded, swept across the colony. Visibility dropped to nothing. Solar collectors failed. External structures were damaged. Inside one dome, a pressure seal failed. The breach was small but fast. Emergency barriers dropped. People were evacuated. One transport shuttle did not make it out in time. The loss was not large by military standards. It was devastating by human ones. News reached Earth within minutes. This time, there was no attempt to soften it. Global networks showed images of damaged domes, rescue crews, and grieving families. The question everyone had been asking silently was now spoken everywhere. Who is doing this to us? Humanity answered the question together. Someone out there. On Earth, emergency powers expanded. Surveillance of deep space increased openly. Defensive systems moved from testing to readiness. Jay and Hannah were brought back from the listening station to a secured facility. Their data formed the foundation of a new analysis group. Jay stared at a projection of the unknown probe's path. They didn't hide this time, he said. No, Hannah replied. They wanted us to see. In the secret council chamber, tension rose. Human emotional response, exceeding projections, the neutral voice said. Public anger accelerating. That was the point, one delegate replied. Was it? Another asked. Or have we crossed a line? No one answered. Humanity crossed its own line soon after. A human patrol ship detected an object exiting Redfield's orbit. This time, tracking systems did not lose it. New sensor arrays locked on. The object accelerated. Human ships followed. For the first time, human and alien machines moved in open pursuit. The object did not fire. It did not communicate. It simply ran. Human commanders hesitated for seconds that felt like hours. Then the order came. Disable it. A focused energy pulse struck the object. Its cloaking field collapsed. For a brief moment, humanity saw alien technology clearly. The probe shattered, debris scattered across space. On Earth, The confirmation spread fast. It was real. Someone was attacking them. Crowds gathered in cities, not in panic, but in anger. Messages flooded networks. The tone was not fear, it was resolve. In the council chamber, alarms sounded for the first time in its long history. Humanity has achieved first contact. Through force, the neutral voice announced. They destroyed a council asset, a delegate said. They defended themselves. Another replied, this escalates matters. A third warned, yes, came the answer. It does. New projections appeared. Casualty estimates rose. Conflict probabilities spiked. One delegate looked at the data and spoke softly. We wanted to slow them. And now? Someone asked. And now we have shown them an enemy. The delegate replied. On Earth, leaders addressed the public. They spoke clearly. Without exaggeration, human space had been violated. Human lives had been lost. Evidence pointed to an unknown non-human force. We did not choose this, one leader said, but we will not ignore it. Human research centers shifted priorities overnight. Projects once theoretical were pushed forward. Defense budgets were unlocked without debate. Day walked through a lab filled with half-finished engines. They think we grow too fast, he said. Mira followed. Then they haven't seen anything yet. On Redfield, repairs continued under armed patrols. The sky looked the same, but no one trusted it anymore. Sora stood near a viewport, watching ships move into defensive patterns. They came quietly, she said. Yes, her supervisor replied. That was their mistake. Far away, the council argued. We should pause, one delegate insisted. Reassess. If we pause, they advance, another snapped. They are advancing anyway, the older delegate said, because we forced them to. The chamber fell silent. A final report appeared. Human industrial output increasing exponentially. The neutral voice said, military coordination approaching single command efficiency. Fear. Something the council rarely acknowledged. Crept into the shared space? They are reacting exactly as a Deathworld species should, the older delegate said. And that is? Someone asked. They are preparing for war, the delegate answered. On Earth. Mira watched the same conclusion form across countless screens. They wanted to control us, she said quietly. Day nodded. Instead, they taught us something. What? She asked. That the galaxy is not kind, he replied. And that kindness was never our shield. Stars outside Earth's atmosphere looked unchanged, but humanity now looked back at them without doubt. Someone had drawn blood, and humans had never forgotten how to answer that. Fear did not rule humanity. It sharpened it. After the probe was destroyed, there was no return to pretending. The truth spread across Earth and the colonies. Unknown non-human forces had entered human space, caused deaths, and retreated without explanation. No message followed. No demand was made. That silence was louder than any threat. Across Earth, governments moved faster than they ever had before. Emergency councils merged into a single global command. It did not erase borders, but it pushed them aside. Decisions that once took years were now made in days. People argued less, they listened more. Myra stood in a large operations hall that had once been used for climate planning. Now, it tracked stars instead of storms. Massive displays showed ship movements, production lines, and research progress. They forced alignment, she said quietly. Day nodded. They thought pressure would slow us. It never does, Myra replied. Factories across Earth changed purpose. Civilian shipyards were redesigned to build armored hulls. Mining operations increased output without waiting for profit approval. Universities redirected entire departments toward propulsion, energy, and defense. No one needed to be convinced. On Redfield, Era oversaw reconstruction. She was not a soldier, but she had learned how to organize chaos. Under her direction, damaged domes were reinforced, not just repaired. New layers were added. Emergency corridors expanded. We're not just rebuilding, she told her team. We're hardening. People worked long hours without complaint. They did not talk much about fear. They talked about making sure the domes held next time, in orbit above Earth. Experimental ships left dry docks for the first time. Their designs were not elegant. They were practical. Thick armor, redundant systems. Engines built to keep working even when damaged. Human engineers made no attempt to hide these launches. If someone was watching, they were meant to see far away. The Secret Council watched in growing discomfort. Human military visibility increasing, the neutral voice said. They are no longer concealing development. That suggests confidence, one delegate said, or defiance. Another replied. The older delegate observed the projections carefully. Human industry curves rose sharply. Research timelines compressed. They are entering wartime behavior, the delegate said. But we have not declared war, another objected. That distinction matters to us, the older delegate replied. Not to them. A new discussion began. Some delegates argued for restraint. Others argued for decisive action before humanity grew stronger. The council had faced this moment before. It rarely ended well. At a deep space training range, human pilots tested new combat formations. They did not rely on perfect plans. They practiced adapting when plans failed. Jay watched the exercises from a command deck. He had never expected to be here. He was a listener, not a strategist. But his understanding of unknown signals made him valuable. They move like they expect us to hesitate, he said, pointing at a simulated enemy pattern. A commander beside him nodded. Then we won't. Human doctrine shifted quietly. Defense no longer meant waiting behind borders. It meant denying the enemy control of distance and timing. Speed mattered, flexibility mattered more on Earth. The public adjusted faster than leaders expected. There was fear, but there was also focus. People volunteered. Supply chains were protected. Misinformation faded as facts were shared openly. They're treating us like children, a worker said during a broadcast. We've survived worse than this. Human history was filled with proof. In the secret council chamber, a probe returned damaged. Its cloaking field showed signs of human interference. They are trying to learn our methods, the neutral voice said, and succeeding. Another delegate added. One asked the question no one wanted to answer. What happens if they learn too fast? Silence followed. On Redfield, Sora watched patrol ships move in steady patterns overhead. The sky no longer felt empty. It felt guarded. She remembered the first days of the colony. When the stars felt distant and calm, now they felt close. On Earth, a message arrived from deep space. It was not a language. It was not a signal meant to speak. It was movement. An unknown fleet shifted position near the edge of human-detected space. Not hidden. Not aggressive. Watching Mira studied the data. They want us to see them, she said. Why now? Day asked. Because we changed, she replied. And they noticed. Human ships adjusted course, maintaining distance, but refusing to retreat. Two groups of machines faced each other across the dark. Neither fired. The moment stretched in the council chamber. Debate turned sharp. They are daring us. One delegate said, they are declaring presence. Another replied. The older delegate closed its eyes briefly. This is how wars begin. On Earth, a global address was prepared. Not dramatic. Not emotional. Clear. A single representative spoke for humanity. We know someone is watching us, the message said. We know harm has been done. We are not seeking conflict, but we will not accept it in silence. The message was broadcast across known and unknown channels. Humanity did not hide. In response, nothing came. No words, no warning. Instead, the unknown fleet moved closer. Human commanders did not wait. Defensive lines formed. Civilian traffic was redirected. Every system humanity had built in the past months came alive in the secret council. Alarms rose again. They are responding as if war is certain, the neutral voice said. Because to them, it is, the older delegate replied. A final vote was proposed. One that could not be undone. Authorized direct force. Some hesitated. Others did not. Before the vote completed, something unexpected happened. Human ships advanced not to attack, to block. They placed themselves between the unknown, fleet and human space. A silent statement here. Not further. Mira watched the movement and felt a strange calm. They're not afraid, she said. No, Day replied. They're ready. Council vote completed moments later. Escalation authorized. The neutral voice announced. The older delegate said nothing. On red field, emergency drills sounded again. This time, no one panicked. They moved with purpose. Era checked structural readouts. Reinforcements held, so watched the sky. Humanity had not fired the first shot, but it had drawn a line, and lines, once drawn, rarely stayed quiet. The moment did not arrive with explosions. It arrived with silence and choice. Human ships held their position between the unknown fleet and human space. Engines burned steady. Weapons stayed powered but unfired. Sensors watched every movement, every energy shift. Minutes passed, then hours. No one blinked. On Earth, the global command center remained active through the night. Myra stood with others who had not left their stations since the standoff began. Coffee cups sat untouched. No one trusted their hands to shake. They are waiting for us to act first, Day said. Mira nodded. They believe we hesitate. The belief did not come from nowhere. Most species did hesitate. Most feared open conflict because they had not grown with it. Woven into their history, humanity had, in the secret council chamber, tension stretched thin. They have blocked our advance, one delegate said. Without firing, they're forcing a response. Another replied. Then respond, a third demanded. End this, before it grows. The older delegates spoke slowly. Once this begins, it does not end the way you expect. The warning was noted, it was ignored. A single alien vessel moved forward. Not fast, not slow. It crossed the invisible line human ships had drawn. Human commanders reacted instantly. Hold, the order came. The alien ship continued. Energy levels rose along its hull. Warning shot. Someone asked. No, the commander replied. Message. A transmission burst from the human flagship. It was clear, open, and sent across every channel they could reach. This is human space, the message said. You are causing harm. Stop now and withdraw. The alien ship did not answer. It advanced another distance unit. Human weapons locked, across the fleet. Fingers hovered over controls. On Earth, Mira closed her eyes for a brief second. Please understand, she whispered. She did not know who she was speaking to. The alien ship fired. It was not a full attack. It was a focused energy discharge aimed at a human escort vessel. The hit tore through armor and disabled engines. The ship did not explode, but it drifted. Powerless, that was enough. Humanity did not shout, it responded. Human ships fired in controlled bursts. Not wild, not emotional. Precision strikes targeted propulsion and control systems. The alien ship shuddered. Its forward motion stopped. Then it broke apart. The debris field expanded. Silently, the first open battle between humanity and the unknown was over in less than 2 minutes. Galaxy felt it in the secret council chamber. Alarms screamed. Asset lost, the neutral voice announced. Confirmed destruction. Silence followed. One delegate whispered. They fired back. Yes, the older delegate replied. Because now it is clear. On Earth, the feed reached command within seconds. The room stayed quiet as the images played. They crossed the line, Day said. And so did we, someone else replied. Mira shook her head. No, they crossed it. We acknowledged it. Within the hour, alien ships began to retreat. Not in panic. In calculation. They pulled back just beyond immediate engagement range. Human ships did not pursue. The message had been sent. That night, humanity spoke to the stars. The broadcast was not angry. It was not loud. It was steady and unmistakable. Jay stood before the transmission array. He had been chosen not for rank, but for clarity. He understood signals, intent, and meaning. The camera activated. He spoke. "This is a message from humanity," he said. "We know we are not alone. We know we have been tested, harmed, and judged without consent." He paused. "We did not seek this conflict, but we will not accept attacks carried out in secret." The signal spread. "Any force that enters our space to cause harm will be met with defense. Any continued action against our people will be answered." He looked directly into the lens. "This is not a request. This is a statement." The broadcast ended. Across Earth, people watched in silence. Some cried. Some nodded. Many felt something settle inside them. Clarity in the council chamber. The broadcast echoed. "They have declared war," one delegate said. "No," the older delegate replied. "They have declared existence." Votes moved quickly now. Authorize full containment. Authorize strikes. Authorize war. The council chose force. Human sensors detected the shift. Almost immediately, alien fleets began moving along multiple vectors. No longer hiding. No longer testing. "This is it," Day said. "Yes," Mira replied. They chose. Humanity answered with speed the council had not predicted. Defense fleets split and reformed into layered formations. Civilian evacuation routes activated automatically. Colonies shifted into emergency protocols without waiting for orders. On Redfield, Ara watched the final dome seals close. "Status?" she asked Green. Her team replied, "All secure." Sora stood at her station, tracking dozens of contacts. "They're coming," she said. "Yes," Ara replied, "and we're ready." The first large battle did not happen at Earth. It happened far out, where humanity chose to meet the threat early. Human fleets did not fight like the simulations predicted. They broke formation. They regrouped. They used damaged ships as shields, decoys, and platforms. They adapted mid-dash fight. Alien commanders struggled to predict them. They ignore loss ratios, one alien analyst reported. "No," another replied. "They calculate differently." Human ships took damage. Some were lost, but each engagement taught them more. Within days, patterns shifted. Human weapons targeted weaknesses faster. Alien tactics lost effectiveness. In the council chamber, fear was no longer theoretical. "They are learning in real time," one delegate said. "That is impossible," another replied. "It is human," the older delegate said. "On Earth." Mira reviewed after-action reports. "They're adapting faster than we thought," Day said. "We always do," Mira replied. Human industry surged again. Replacement ships rolled out faster than losses could slow them. Crews rotated efficiently. Training adapted using live data. Humanity did not burn itself out. It focused. The galaxy watched. Species that had never spoken openly of humanity began to reassess old assumptions. They had seen Deathworld species before. They had never seen one like this. The secret council fractured quietly. Some members reduced support. Others questioned orders. The older delegates stood alone in one session. "We tried to control them," the delegate said. "Now we must survive them." No one argued. On Earth, the sky looked the same, but humanity no longer looked at it with uncertainty. The war had been declared not with words, but with resolve. War changed the shape of days. Time no longer moved by calendars. It moved by alerts, repairs, and reports. Humanity learned quickly how to live inside that rhythm. Sleep came in short blocks. Meals were shared beside consoles. Messages from home were read quietly and saved for later. The fighting spread across space like a slow storm. Human fleets did not rush toward the enemy's core. They chose their ground. They defended key routes, then pushed just far enough to force reactions. Every movement had a reason. Losses came, they were felt, but they did not break focus. On Earth, Mira walked through the operations hall each day, watching the war change in small ways. New symbols appeared on maps, old ones vanished. Some marked victories. Others marked ships that would not return. "We are holding," Day said beside her. "Yes," Mira replied. And learning, human commanders studied every encounter. They did not copy enemy tactics. They absorbed ideas and reshaped them. When alien weapons cut through armor, humans layered it differently. When enemy formations relied on precision, humans introduced chaos. When communication jamming appeared, humans switched to systems that required less coordination. The enemy adapted. So did humanity. In the secret council chamber, reports grew darker. Human countermeasures deployed within days, the neutral voice said. Effectiveness increasing. "They should not be able to do this," one delegate said. "They should," the older delegate replied. "They are fighting for survival." Several member species had already reduced participation. Their fleets pulled back under various excuses. Officially, they claimed resource limits. Unofficially, they feared being next. The Council's unity weakened. On the battlefield, a human task group engaged a larger alien force near a broken moon. The aliens expected retreat. The humans advanced. They split their ships, sending small units in unpredictable paths. Some drew fire. Others slipped through gaps. The fight was close, brutal, short. When it ended, the alien force withdrew, leaving damaged vessels behind. Human. Rescue teams recovered survivors. Not all of them were human. That fact reached the council quickly. "They are taking prisoners," one delegate said. "Yes," the older delegate replied, "and that should worry you." Captured alien crew were treated carefully, not kindly, but fairly. Injuries were treated. Basic needs met. No interrogation through pain. Human analysts wanted answers. They also wanted proof on Earth. Limited information was released to the public. Images of unknown beings inside human medical bays spread quickly. "They're not monsters," someone said. "No," another replied. "But they chose this." The tone of public support hardened, not into hate, into resolve. On Red Field, life continued under constant alert. Children practiced drills the same way they practiced lessons. Adults learned to read the sky. Sora worked longer shifts now. She watched traffic, defense grids, and sensor nets. "They're probing again," she said one day. Era stood beside her. "Let them." The probes did not last long. Human point defenses destroyed them before they could gather much data. The enemy was no longer ahead. They were reacting in the council chamber. Simulations failed more often. Projections no longer matched reality. "Human losses do not reduce momentum," the neutral voice reported. "Morale remains stable." "That is not logical," a delegate said. "It is." "Human," the older delegate replied. Again, a major turning point came quietly in. Alien strike group attempted a deep attack on a human supply route. Expecting weak escort, they found none. Human ships waited in layered ambush, hidden among debris and radiation fields. When the alien group entered the trap, human weapons struck from all directions. The battle ended. With the complete loss of the alien strike, group human losses were minimal. The report reached the council within minutes. Silence filled the chamber. "They are controlling the pace," one delegate said. "They are forcing us to respond where they choose," another added. Fear was no longer hidden. The older delegate stood. "We misjudged them," it said. "We thought pressure would bend them. We thought secrecy would weaken them." No one interrupted. "We taught them how the galaxy works," the delegate continued. "And now they are teaching us how they work." On Earth, Mira watched the same realization spread through intercepted enemy communications. "They're confused," she said. Day nodded. "They expected fear." "They got focus," Mira replied. "Human scientists introduced new defensive systems based on captured technology. Not copies, improvements. Enemy weapons that once caused fear lost their edge. Human ships began surviving hits that should have destroyed them. In one engagement, a damaged human cruiser stayed operational long enough to shield 2 others. Its crew evacuated only after the fight ended. The ship was lost. The people were not. That story spread across human space. It became a symbol in the council chamber. More members withdrew. Some openly opposed continued war. This was meant to be containment, one said, not mutual destruction. We cannot stop now, another replied. If we do, they will advance. The older delegate closed its eyes again. They will advance anyway, it said, because now they know we fear them. On Redfield, memorial lights rose again, but fewer than before. Defenses had improved. Warnings came earlier. Era watched the lights drift. We're still here, she said quietly. Yes, Sora replied, and they know it. In space, human fleets began limited counteroffensives. Not to conquer, but to deny enemy staging areas. Each move was measured. Alien forces fell back step by step, not because they were destroyed, because they were unsure in the council chamber. A final report appeared. Multiple member species request ceasefire. Discussions, the neutral voice, said. Arguments erupted. They will demand recognition, one delegate shouted. They already have it. The older delegate replied. They earned it the moment we failed to break them. On Earth, Mira received the same signal through indirect channels. They're talking about talks, Day said. Yes, Mira replied, because they're running out of options. Human leaders did not rush, they remembered. How this had started in silence, in shadows. Human fleets held position, repairs continued, training continued. Humanity did not celebrate, it waited far away. The secret council faced a truth it had avoided for 2 long. Deathworld species did not fear war. They understood it, and humanity had learned faster than anyone expected. The galaxy was changing, not because humans wanted to rule it, but because they refused to be shaped by fear.